Hello?
We need to talk.
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 Welcome back to Meet the Talk, episode number 58. I'm host MR.KOA alongside
Top Boy.
Alongside
Jordan Birch.
Jordan Birch. Say it again.
Jordan Birch. That's my name.
That's my name.
That was his audition tone.
Next, please. Jordan Birch. How's that going, by the way? Welcome back, actually.
Thank you.
Yes. How's the acting going?
It's good. It's good right now. It's been quiet, but I'm getting ready to. I remember last time I was talking about doing my play,
Right.
and so I got a theater that I have now, and now it's just like really setting into plan it and build a budget and kind of go for it. So,
And this is entirely run by you?
this is entirely me. This is like the biggest thing.
Like, are you casting and everything too?
Yeah. So
Okay.
one of my friends, he's already committed to doing it. He is currently on a show called Greenleaf, which you guys might know.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
It's
I
on
didn't watch
Netflix.
it yet, though.
But
Is
yeah,
it good?
It's good. It's a very, if you like mess, like it's a lot of mixing. It's just one of those shows.
Yeah.
So he's committed to being in it, and I'm excited. He's one of my good friends, so I'm excited to to give life to that with one of my friends. So
Sick. And this is, I guess, on your own budget, I'm assuming?
this is all out of my own pocket. So
Do you make anything for, like, is this more for a body of work to be like, this is what I've done, or is there a way to monetize whatever you're doing?
I mean,
or not yet?
This really is more for me.
This is a
just
passion project.
This is a passion project.
Okay.
This is like, do it to say that I did it.
Right.
I built this to try and bring it to life. I wrote the play, and I just want to see if I can take it to the next level and see what I can create.
And what's the play in general like about?
Yeah. It's about these two gentlemen who kind of have to, in meeting each other, they got to figure out what their next choice is to how they're going to move their life forward. And basically it's like an older gentleman who is about to like hurt himself publicly, and the younger dude saves him. And like in them two kind of meeting, they end up finding out that their lives kind of they connect in ways that they didn't expect, and they both kind of have to make choices once they find out what those connections are.
And you wrote the script.
And I wrote this.
So what made you decide to do a play rather than short film?
Well, I went to school for like creative writing.
Mm-hmm.
So this was in a playwriting like course, like in one of like the upper level courses.
Yeah.
And so like before this program, I never thought in my life that I would write a play. It just wasn't something that was like in my head. I didn't grow up doing like theater or anything of that nature. But I always liked to write different things.
Right.
So when this came about and it was received well, because I wrote it for like a very specific scene. Like usually when I write something, it's like there's a reaction that I want out of the audience that's intended for. So I wrote it all around this one specific scene. And when we did the read in class, and everybody had the same reaction to that moment that I was trying to create, I knew I kind of had something, and I was like, okay, like this could be like, just seeing how they reacted reading it, I could just imagine what it'd be like when they see it. So I was like, okay, I got to do something with this.
Sick.
Given the fact that you were basically putting this on, right? Like you're putting on a production. Now that you're doing something like this, how did you feel when you watched Firefest? when you saw,
bro. First of all, I'm like maybe in the last like 20 minutes left of like that documentary, but
Because most of the shit went down there.
Yes.
Okay.
I have never seen like a failure like that in my entire life. And it's just crazy like how far the benefit of the doubt goes when you have like a lot of money.
Yeah.
well, me and Ryan were talking about it the other day. And the crazy thing is, while this was all happening, I didn't realize how young Billy is. Billy's right now 27. When this was happening, he was 25.
That's crazy.
They're all listening to like a youth.
You know what I mean? Like,
Imagine a
like,
25-year-old tells you as a grown man, I need you to suck a man's dick for this money. And you're like, come on. Like, yes, go do that. And you're like, all right.
Bro, that's one of the wildest things I've ever seen in my life. I was telling you, I don't think there's anything that I want that bad.
Nothing.
There's nothing that I want that bad.
I mean, we have to, like, we're a straight man.
Yeah.
So, like, would you fuck for something else?
would you eat?
Because it's not.
Would you eat pussy?
Would you eat
for
pussy?
something
Yeah,
else?
let's just flip it. Oral sex. Let's use oral sex. Would you eat pussy to
There's $175,000 worth of water.
not even if it's water.
No, we're gonna equate the situation. Like, it's
You
175.
take the L. You gotta take the L on that one.
You're just like, yo, we're not doing this.
It's crazy.
So
And
all
like
those
the thing is,
people-
like you think you have to think about it for a while
all those people are gonna
because
die.
all of the people that are affected by it.
All those people are gonna die because you won't
So
want
let's
to.
just-
You don't want to eat pussy.
But there's got to be somebody else.
like, there's gotta be someone else.
There's got to be somebody else.
Okay, so let's just say, I mean, we all have a number. So let's just say this wasn't going into water and this wasn't going to them. Let's say $175,000 in cash was going
Oh,
to
that's
you.
that makes it even more of like a no.
Really?
Yeah, because like it's just like
You wouldn't eat vagina for $175,000?
oh my god. Okay, I'm lying.
Of course I'm lying. Why?
I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm looking at him like,
I'm lying.
this guy's so full of shit.
I would 100% do it.
100. What?
I would do it. And
It
then
was my cash?
I would do it.
Like,
After I'm done, I'd call Jamie and just be like, "Okay, we're gonna go somewhere. We're gonna go on a trip.
doesn't matter how I got this.
Don't worry about how we
Don't
got it.
ask any questions.
We're just gonna go on a nice
That's
trip,
wild.
long trip."
But yeah, so as you obviously know, because you keep track of our podcast as you
Yep.
do, which is great. We've transitioned this year. Happy New Year! Did I even say Happy New Year this year?
No, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! We're in February.
Also, thank you for fucking traveling here in this
oh,
weather.
it's Narnia outside. It's a damn snowstorm outside, and people are driving at 10
Yeah.
miles an hour.
By the time everyone listens to this, it'll be Wednesday, and they'll know about the snowstorm.
Yeah,
My whole
That
family's
happened on
like, where are you
Monday.
going?
like,
Where are you going?
nothing. There's nothing that important.
Literally.
a podcast. Do you get paid for that? No, but like
That's literally how the conversation
yeah.
went.
Yeah.
Just to talk to my friends. Get the fuck inside. But yeah, no, I was saying, you know that we've definitely transitioned this year into broadening our, I guess, spectrum of topics, broadening our perspective, and although we're still relationship talk based podcast, we've branched off into a lot of pop culture, a lot of things are happening in society, gender roles, politics, what have you, movies as well, because me and him are both movie fans. So we found a way to integrate other things into this podcast, which I really love that we're doing. And I'm sure other people, we're getting good feedback from everyone else that thinks the same. What are your thoughts based on what you've seen this podcast grow to?
It's been a great thing because I find that it's like a natural evolution. Like I would find there's like a finite amount of topics you can talk about, I guess, in the relationship pool. It's just the circumstances might change,
right,
or the guests that you have might offer different perspectives.
Yeah.
And then so as you you guys have been at this for over a year now, so it's like, okay, now what's the next thing?
Right.
Like how can we keep this going? And then you just open the world up for yourself. So that's
right.
And now I think the relationship talk was the selling point for people who didn't know you. It's just always interesting to hear about people's relationships. And now, for the most part, everybody is invested in you. They're
right.
invested in Ryan. They're invested in Z. And they're just like, okay, I like these guys. I like how they think. Or you guys might challenge the way that they think. And so they want that on a broader spectrum. They're like, okay, well, I've gotten this from them. Like, what else can I learn from them?
Right.
And you guys recognize that. And I'm sure people have been vocal about that and telling you what they want to hear. Yeah. And so I'm not surprised that, it's the next progression, and just it'll continue to evolve, not only in topics, but the way that you guys showcase them and how you elevate what it looks like on Instagram, what it looks like on YouTube, and even just like things like the new logo. It keeps things fresh, and people are like, okay, they continue to like reinvent and push things forward, and it's
right.
clear that that's an agenda.
Yeah.
And I think it's people will continue to appreciate that. I know I do.
Thank you.
So
sick. No, absolutely. And I think a big reason why when I was coming up with a name for the podcast, We Need to Talk, I kind of in my head, I'm like, I know at some point we're going to branch off further than strictly relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want the name to be so like specific that we'd have to rebrand everything when you get that point. You know what I mean? So like, I didn't want it to be like something about, love. Nothing with love, nothing with sex, like nothing that's so direct. It's like, we have to be talking about sex. We have to be talking about love. We have to be talking about boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, I didn't want a name like that. And the phrase We Need to Talk, which you've all heard, it's associated with relationships because it's like, oh, what the fuck are we talking about now, right? Yeah. But when I've said before, like you flip the narrative, it's like we need to talk. Doesn't necessarily have to be necessarily even about a relationship. Doesn't have to be even a bad thing at all. It's just the act and I guess the choice to have a dynamic conversation is what I feel is necessary for us young youth and entrepreneurs and Black males. Is like we need to have these conversations constantly about various things. And
that's just consistent with like where we are as a society right now. Like everything is about having the conversation. Yeah. Like things can't live in the dark anymore. So it's like you have to have the conversation. And it's just and this is like that's not gonna go in like a super like deep or dark like places. But it's just like the idea of having the conversation is a scary thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whether it's just like just sharing your opinions can be a frightening thing.
Right.
Or just like sharing your concerns can be a frightening thing. So I just think, like it's just like trying to put that in a positive place is just like is necessary, and it's only going to help us learn more because no matter what, there's going to be something that I'm going to take from you or whoever it is that might have something to say. So
sick. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
So I mean, it's kind of on topic to what Ryan brought up earlier, but one of the topics we wanted to talk about this week was freelancing versus the job market in Toronto and I guess Vancouver and your situation as well. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. The past year that we've been doing this, a lot of like I'm sure you've got a lot of questions about freelancing. Anytime I put one of those Instagram like sticker things, ask me questions about anything, like I always get questions about freelancing. What has been like your viewpoint on it in the past year, like
on like
freelancing
on the comparison or freelancing as
freelancing in general, and then like we can get into the compared to the job market after.
I feel like freelancing literally for millennials is the way of the future for us. And I think the reason I say that is because I'm speaking for myself, but I can also speak for other millennials, and I can also probably speak for the people in this room right now because we think similarly. Millennials are getting into a state of mind where it's so much easier to learn things now than it was before. So it's almost like you have to consciously make an effort to not want to learn to be comfortable working in a normal job. Like you have to literally make a deliberate choice that I don't want to know how to do anything else, even though I can search it tomorrow. I can talk to a friend. Like even though I have this access, I don't want it. Like you have to literally be against it so firmly to force you to literally be comfortable in what space you're in. And I feel like it was easy for the older people and back in the day for the older generation because the knowledge and access wasn't so easily accessible that you kind of get a skill. That's what I'm good at. And then you stick with it and you ride it out and that's your job. Yeah. Right. But now it's like, yeah, we all go to school, we do this, but you get a job. It's like almost every person that has a job that probably in their 20s to 30s right now, anyone who's working a day job for the most part has something else that they like on the side. They might not be making money from it, but there's something else that they wish they could have done if it made money. You know what I mean? Fair. Some hobby, some interest, whatever it is. There's something you're like, if I could find a way for this to make me money, I will leave my job. I just can't. So I'll stay and just kind of do this for fun and hope, right? But like, there's so much access and so much data and so much knowledge that's out there that's like, we're constantly being bombarded with learn this, try this. It's like, as an employer, it's like if you hire a bunch of millennials and say this is your job, you Birch, you do this, you Zamora, you only do this. It's like our minds seek more knowledge. Like just our generation, we need more. So it's like when you're like, this is all you have to do. It's like, this is all I have to do. I'm done. Okay, well, do some more of it. You're like, I'm done with this. Like, like we just want more. But the older generations, they're okay. Like, okay, that's my day job. I clock in, clock out, and I got home.
And I think like coming off of that, a lot of it was like stability. Like you wanted to be able to it's not even so much. It's like the guaranteed work and the benefits is like the pitch.
Yes,
you know what I mean, like insurance and all that kind of stuff. Right. But like I find like now, like what's happening is like the rate of like information, the rate of consumption puts things in a place where like you just constantly want to be doing new things.
Yeah.
And the way that companies work is that their ceiling for growth doesn't grow anywhere near as fast as we are. So you might get stuck in a position that you have this, and you know that you might want to do more things within that company, and you might love working for that company, and you might only want to work for that company. But the jobs that you want to use the other skills that you have might not exist yet. Yeah. And it's like, so it's a matter of like, okay, like you can hope that like it comes longer at some point, or there's somebody ahead of you that's just been there for longer, and there's like not much that you can do other than hope that they leave. Yeah. Or try and go somewhere else. So it's just like, it's a tough thing when your ambition and your opportunity don't match, which is a challenge that everybody kind of has to deal with at some point. But I find like, especially even if you go into fields that are like, are not freelance, that are like, you might love being an accountant, or you might love being, you know, any type of like regulated like office job, you know, your desire to do more things, though generally speaking, unless it's like some booming industry, your ability to kind of advance at the rate that you may be capable of is like not there. Right. Whereas like if you're freelance, you can kind of monitor, you can push how hard you want to push. And if things get too much, you can always scale things back down. Whereas if you go up to a level that you're like, I'm not built for this, like, or like it's too crazy, you can't step down. Like it's just like, or you gotta leave altogether. You can't just like make a final adjustment. Like you have, like that's just is what it is. Yes.
That's so on point, man. Because like when I was working at that PR company, that's pretty much why I left. Because while I was working there, I liked it. It was comfortable. But I started doing, like, I fell in love with photography and videography just by chance. It's not like something that I'd always done. And then that somehow trickled into work. So I started doing like what I do outside of work, for work. But the position wasn't created yet. You know what I mean? So I was kind of evolving quicker than the company was willing to catch up. So I ended up leaving. And I'm leaving and started going down my own route. But then, you know, like a year or two later, that company then actually had the wherewithal to create roles within that position. Right. So it's to your point, like sometimes you'll be working for a company that you actually like, but they don't progress as quick as you do. Right. So I don't know.
I'd like to know, I don't know if there's a stat for it, but I'd like to know, I guess like if there's some metric that can track the change of turnover rate from this era versus like 20 years ago.
Well, they were saying, I read a couple of articles saying that people our age, like the millennial generation, they're quitting. They're the forefront of the gig economy. Right. You've heard me talk about it before, right? Because like a lot of us are realizing that you don't want to work somewhere where it feels like you're not getting any fulfillment, or you're just doing the same shit every single day. Sure, like there is like a level of comfort that is okay with, okay, if I work this much, I know this is how much I'm getting. This is what I'm going to be able to do in like X amount of years. But for a lot of us, I'm finding that it's almost like traumatic to think about. You know what I mean? Like
we literally think way too far ahead that whatever it's saying to me sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like it's like that's how like millennials think that far ahead. It's like, okay, so let me get this straight. This is how much I make, and it's how much I'll make for the next 5 years, and it's how much I make for the next 10 years if I do this job. Like that's it. It's like, well,
but that's guaranteed. It's like that's,
and you're like, it's like I don't want that.
And you know what it is? That's how I don't want to say they, but that's how a lot of people fall into it. It's the guarantee, right? Because the thing about freelancing is there literally is no guarantee. Like, did you see that thing I tweeted? I mean, so when I posted the Instagram stories, asking me about the different shit, someone asked me about freelancing, and my boy Mike, this guy I know on Instagram, Mike Sunday. I just put down what he said, because as much as, for example, people look at you in general who freelance, like there's a lot of like misinterpretation, or like people being led astray with freelancing because they only see the good parts of it. Right. I'm gonna read what he said for people that didn't see. Someone said, any advice for turning a hobby such as photography into a potential career path? And this Mike said, I think my advice would be this. The starving artist is a myth. Do not go hungry to chase your art. My honest opinion is that very few people will be able to turn their hobbies into a full career, plain and simple. Instead, figure out how to balance a job that makes you money with your passion on the side. People who say you must take a leap of faith, go in head first with no parachute. This is stupid and unrealistic advice that will likely land you in debt. However, it is easier now to showcase your work, like you said, like also finding it. Get feedback and get noticed than ever before. Seriously, I spoke about something called the power of 300 in one of my podcasts. It's still true. Try to create 300 masterpieces, not WIPs, not stems, full pieces, and put them out in the world. You'll be surprised what happens. No one is willing to hire anyone because they heard that you're dope. You need a body of work out there. Frequency bias is real, and staying present helps keep you top of mind. Lastly, don't trend hop. It's fun to get a few likes by doing something of the moment, but the people who have truly made a career in the creative field are rarely influenced by the ebb and tide of trend. Maybe they sprinkle some in for flavor, but most of the time they truly have a unique perspective.
That's an amazing answer.
Right? Because I mean, look, I remember before getting into freelancing, someone I used to watch often, or I would see their shit come up and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna listen, was Gary Vee. Right. And the thing about Gary Vee is he actually does tell people pretty much what this guy said. Right. But the problem is, because of his success, you have people who legitimately think, okay, I quit my job, I'm going to freelancing, like I'm gonna make it work.
Because what he's saying essentially is so extreme.
Yeah.
That they're like, you know what? Yeah, you're right, Gary. He's like, no. I'm not saying quit tomorrow. What I'm saying is start working towards and start working on certain things, which is gonna allow you to quit and be prepared to quit. But you're basically saying quit tomorrow. No, I'm not saying quit tomorrow.
He deadass said, I'll never. That's where I got this from. He said one day, he's like, if you're not in a position to like fully quit, he's like, work a job that pays you the most, or like as much as you're okay with, that doesn't affect like what it is you want to do on the side. So when I quit, I did bartending. Money was good, but it literally did not affect any of my freelance work, right? Because I'm like, if I need extra cash, I can bartend or I can serve. But if not, I can just, all my days are free. I can do what the fuck I want. But then you have people I know who are hitting me up now who are literally struggling with the decision to leave their 9-to-5 to go into freelancing because they're in a 9-to-5. Right. You know what I mean? Like, the idea of leaving a 9-to-5 to take a lesser job so that they can actually focus on their side job is like so ridiculous that they don't want to do it. So you got to get over your own ego. That's like the number one thing.
How did, I don't know if either of us have really answered this, but how did you know?
How did I know that I was supposed to do it?
Yeah. I think I may have answered at some point, but not in depth enough. How did you know? Like, because the same question you're at, the same thing you're addressing is like people are bouncing me for like, oh, like when I quit, I wasn't like, should I quit? Like it wasn't. It was, I'm done. Like,
answer that, and then I have a follow up question.
Okay, sure. Hold on.
What
did we meet the first time we went to Van? When we went to Van the first time, was that the first time we met?
Yeah.
Okay, so
you took us up.
But I had to leave early, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time.
Yeah,
that's right. So when I knew that I wasn't supposed to be working. That's the thing. Supposed to be working. Because I could do it, but I knew I wasn't supposed to be working 9-to-5 when I had to go back to work a day early. Mm-hmm. Right?
That was literally the moment?
That was the moment, because for a work assignment that I could have done from across the country. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting there in the office, like, because I took a red-eye flight. I got home at like 6 a.m. and I went into the office for like 9:30. Right? And I remember driving there, like basically not even thinking. You know, you have those drives where you just arrive at your destination and you don't know. Then I'm sitting at my desk and I'm thinking to myself, yo, I was just on the other side of the country, like taking pictures and videos, doing what I wanted to do.
Not to cut you, but so the part you're explaining right now is personal.
No, I'm getting to
impulse.
No,
versus rational.
No, I'm getting to it.
Go ahead.
So then I was sitting there and I'm like, yo, I'm not supposed to be here like doing this.
Right.
And that same week, I was like kind of like in this phase where I'm just like, man, I don't know if I should be working 9 to 5, but I was slowly getting more and more gigs
Right.
on the side. And it was getting to the point where the gigs that I was doing was starting to pay me a lot more than working this 9 to 5. So then I sat there and I was like, okay, me getting X amount of gigs like a week or a month, I can't plan that.
Right.
I can't plan that. But what I can plan is figuring out a way to like manage my financials so that even if let's say I only get like 5 gigs a month, I can make that money last like 2-3 months. So
To
then,
give you time.
yeah. So then I was like really sitting there and I'm like, I had to really sit down, plan everything. And I was like, can I make this work? And when I truthfully said yes, and I was like fine with doing it.
Was there any series of unknown with your decision? Because you can plan so far.
The series of unknown definitely for me was the financial part, right? Because I
How
had worked,
far?
it was the fact that I had worked a 9 to 5 for it was close to 5 years. So even though I was making money on the side, knowing that I had like, let's say it was like 1,200 or 1,300 coming in every 2 weeks, like knowing that money was just gonna be there, because when you work a 9 to 5 for so long, you kind of end up like a robot, right? The weeks just go by and it's like, oh, there's my money again. Gotta pay my bills. So I just knew that money's coming in. And the moment that stopped, that was like the unsure part where I was like,
It's like, oh, I'm in this.
yeah, you're like, oh shit, like I'm not that 1,200. That's not coming in like every 2 weeks anymore. Right?
Ever.
Right? Unless we talked about this. Unless someone gives me a job where I want, like that's never happening again. So I was like, okay, like for the first month and a half, I was like, fuck, like this is brutal.
Right.
Then down the road, you know, I had that one gig where it was a long gig. I worked for like a month and they paid me. It was like nearly a third. It was over half, nearly a third of what I made in salary for like 1 year at the PR firm I worked
for
at.
the one project.
Yeah. And the crazy thing was, it was that PR firm that paid me to do the gig.
Right.
That's wild.
That's wild,
They
right?
assigned you, right?
They paid me to do this. So I was like, yo, like that at that moment showed me the possibility of freelancing, where I was like, yo, if you do your job well enough and like you're timely, you fucking respond to emails on time, you're not a dick, like you can really make a lot of money doing this. But it doesn't just happen. And those big paydays don't happen all the time, right? So once I got comfortable with that and I just left my ego in the door, I mean, the idea of freelancing wasn't that bad. I was like,
what was your question?
So my question to you guys is that period of where like you're still at your job, and you're trying to build your skill as in your whatever it is that you want to freelance in, or whatever it is that your true passion it is. What was that period like in terms of the window before you're like, because obviously like you plan this whole period before you actually decide to like go full on freelance. So like you might build your savings up, or you might want to execute a certain amount of projects to get your skills up. Like, what was that like in terms of like, one, like how long was that for each of you? But what was that like in terms of what are the things that you were thinking about? Like, okay, in order for myself to be ready to take this leap, like I need to execute these things. Like, what were those things for you?
So I'm not sure how Zamora did that. For me, I'm pretty wild as fuck, to be honest. And I think that's just the athlete in me. I've mentioned this many times that my athletic mentality that I've gained from, you know, playing basketball my whole life and for various coaches and various levels, gave me an advantage over the average person. And the advantage is self-discipline, and my confidence is very high, like higher than the normal person, right? And to an extent, there's some blind confidence in there. And as an athlete, sometimes you have blind confidence. Sometimes, you know, your coach is like, you know, these guys are undefeated, blah, blah, blah. you know, you guys gotta work your ass off, and you're like, anytime I hear those speeches when coaches like, yeah, these guys haven't lost a game, blah blah. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm beating them, and they're like I just have that confidence. I'm like, well, I'll be the first loss. Like that's just I will be the first loss. So, so because I have that mentality and it's instilled in me, it's not just like I just put it on. Like it's actually part of me. When I quit, I probably had maybe my last paycheck from my work, so that was like a couple grand, some cash here and there, nothing crazy. Like if I didn't do well, my first 2 months, I'd be broke. Like,
bro, I think
like broke.
I don't
like
I don't think we talked about this, but honest to God, I was in the same position as this dude. Like I planned ahead in terms of what I knew was coming. But it's like
that's it. That's all I knew. That's all I actually knew. Like that's all. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I didn't. In hindsight, it sounds so incredibly stupid because I don't think I would ever tell anyone to do this.
I wouldn't.
Right? I wouldn't tell anyone to just quit if you don't have like at least I would say comfortably unless you have like $4,000, just already say. And the reason I say that is because when I would quit, I was still living at home.
I had rent.
Right? Yeah, so this guy had rent.
Like,
so if I was
he's really just like, figure it out.
Literally. The thing is, even what he said, like I wouldn't tell someone to quit unless I personally knew your drive. That's the only way I could actually give someone my own advice. Like literally do what I did, because I know that I know you so well that if you do it, you have the mentality that will force you to do well. If I don't know you like that, you're someone that's like, when should I quit? I'm like, you're not gonna survive. Like that will be the the truth. You won't make it, and it's not even to sound bad. Like you will crumble if you don't get a check in a couple of weeks. You'll crumble. That's like fun. Right. So for me, it's like I just knew, and every time I talk about this to other people, is like I also put myself in a very good position because I went to university. It's not like I just quit my job with no education, just said I'm taking the leap. Like it wasn't completely ridiculous like that. I was 20 last year, so I was 27 years old. And when you go to school, right? I had my university degree. So I went to school, I finished school. Then I did work. Like I actually did work a day job for 4 years. 3.5, 4 years after graduating. So I put my time in. My resume is very good. Yeah. Like I've worked for some very big companies in accounting and different things. So it's like when I decided to quit, even though I didn't have much saved and it was kind of risky, I was like, if I really can't do this,
I can get a job.
You can always
I will apply online. I don't want to. I really have no intentions of working again, but I can because I've built this buffer for myself of my own knowledge. It's not cash. Like my cash is my intellectual capital. I was like, if I don't have actual money, I can go get it. Like I can create money. Not everyone has that ability to just get a job, right? Which is another benefit that I have. Like I put a lot of things in place where quitting made so much sense that I literally had to do it. Because I'm like, if I stay, I know I'm not happy. I know I should be doing more. I know all these negative things. And if I leave, it's like, okay, fine, I leave. There's a potential that I can do much better than I'm doing. I know I'll be much happier. And you know what? If you really can't do it, then go back to work and try again. But I was okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
But the crazy thing is like a lot of the people, like I get questions about freelancing from people around our age, like more often than not.
Right.
But I'm kind of concerned with the next generation of freelancing. And the reason I say that is because they're literally growing up in a time period where the internet is all they know. They didn't know a time before that. So when you spoke about access to certain things and information, they can just get everything like crazy. So in terms of knowledge for, photography, videography, creative fields, I think they have a step ahead than we did. But let's use Steven example, right? He's still in high school, right? We see all the shit he's doing. My fear, and I said this so many times to Emily, she asked me about freelancing all the time, and I said, yo, the reason why I think you would do well in it is because you worked corporate for so fucking long, right? When it comes to dealing with people and, you know, having proper etiquette,
so much more than
proper
just the
etiquette
job
when we do emails, it's
right.
like people who want to get into freelancing or they don't understand like what kind of advantage I may have because I worked corporate. I know how these people think, so I know how I'm going to talk to them. But then you have some people who work freelance that don't know any of those things.
They literally have their skill.
So
and
they have their skill, but they didn't develop those people skills in any way. So when they try to get these gigs, they sometimes lose them, right? Not because they're not skilled enough.
They don't have the clothes. They don't know how to discuss. They don't have like...
So
yeah,
it's weird. Like if someone younger was coming to me and was just like, what do I do for freelancing? Like, because some of these young people are like far off than I am, right? I'm not mad at it because I just understand how it is, but
they don't have the business sense.
I don't know what I would tell them. Like, I would honestly say, like, there's no harm if you can work in not just any 9 to 5.
Right.
Like, if you can work some job that's closely related to what you want to do, that is a 9 to 5, I'd fucking do it, right? Because you don't know how many connections you may make, and you're so young that it's not gonna be a forever thing,
right?
Because the age thing is something that I do think scares a lot of people into freelancing, right? Like imagine you've been working 9 to 5 most of your 20s, you're nearly 30, and then you say, I think I want to quit now, right? Yeah. That's like very daunting for some people, which I would understand. But at the same time, there are people who don't even make it till they're in their mid 30s. So it's like, if you just have to really think about some of the decisions you make, because when you become a freelance person, like now everything has to be calculated.
Yes.
I don't see some people sometimes because I know
you're not worth my money. I
have to go work.
Yeah.
I talked about how like freelancing has changed my personality in the same sense. Like there are people that I would talk to, like I had no problem talking to in the past. And then it got to a point where I realized like, yo, this person doesn't even ask like how I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how are you? They've never even asked me how I am. Yeah. So like now they're in this category in my head where it's like, I'm not going to stress my energy. Right. So I don't know. Freelancing should make your circle smaller.
It will.
Yeah.
And I think part of it comes like at the age that we're at as well. Like just like a shift in thinking. When you're a freelancer, one of the biggest values you have, if not the biggest, is your time. Mm-hmm. So like where you put your time and who you spend your time with is at a different currency. So like for me as well, like I'm in a place where I work a day job, like I manage a store.
Yeah.
But they've given me the freedom that like if I need to audition, I can leave my store in the middle of a day. So
yeah.
I have the flexibility. If I book a show, we can work it out so I can go shoot for a couple of days and come back.
Yeah.
So and that was a conversation we had before I even took the job.
So you know your priorities.
So I know what my priorities are, and they know what their priorities are. But like now it's like time is like the most valuable thing. So it's just like, okay, if you don't value what my time is, you just won't get it. Mm-hmm. And like and that's been like an interesting transition that I've seen like the last couple of years. It's just like I know like the term flop artist like is something that you like. I hate flop artists. Yeah. Like as a kid, like it would bother me, but like I have like almost no tolerance for it.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, okay, like you waste my time once, you'll get one other shot, and then once if you show me that you don't value my time, you just don't get it anymore. And that's just kind of how, in terms of just like, because it's a frustrating thing because all the things that you could have been doing, you could have been learning something. You could have set aside time. You set aside time for that.
That's
like,
bro, that is so
it's
real.
Just like, so it's for you guys. I understand it's at a heightened level than more for me because you're freelance and your time is your money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Like you literally could be doing like for me. It's just like with acting, so much of it is out of my own control.
Yeah.
That like
sometimes you're waiting in between.
I'm waiting in between. Like I might not have an audition for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like how you know what I mean?
So
you're there and you're trying to train and like or do whatever you can do. But there's a lot of it that's like things that I don't control that I can necessarily put my time into. But with somebody who's working in a field like you guys, like that's plenty of time to be diving into several things.
Bro, if we talked about some of the previous podcasts, like I was just talking to Jamie too. I'll go out and I'll leave a club at like 12:30.
Easy.
Unless it's like my boys, or if it's like a birthday.
Bro, I don't care who it is.
You don't care? Like
I show face. Man's here. Happy birthday, yo. Yo, I'll see you though. Like I came, but I came.
Because you know what it is? Look, here's the thing. Like Rich said, people who know us, like our close friends, understand that our time is such a commodity at this point, where it's not like if I don't show up, it's not because I don't fucking like you. Yeah, it's because like if I don't like stay home and do work, I don't have anywhere to live.
You know what I mean? Like that's how extreme it is.
And it's different now, I'll say, just because what you guys do is very visible. Like I can see, like if I don't see you, I see your work output because it's on. I'm like, oh, like he wasn't here because he was making this thing. Yeah. But if your field is not that, where people just don't see you, or you're in a process where like you're developing, but you're not necessarily, your output isn't matching your learning process. They just don't get it. They're just like, oh, like, so like, what are you actually doing?
What are you doing? Stuff's happening.
But like what though?
But like what?
Because that's the thing. Like it'll be for me to be like, yo, like, so like, what are you in right now?
Yeah.
So you're not shooting anything right now.
No, but I'm still busy.
So, but you're busy though.
Yeah.
And then,
but you're busy though.
Yeah. So it's just, like with women, it's the worst because it's just like, oh, like, because I couldn't tell you how many times just in the last month I've heard the phrase, well, you know, people make time for the people that they want to see.
Fuck out of here, bro. Yo, hold on.
You know.
Hold on. Let me tell you something, right? So,
I mean, there is truth to it.
It's 100% true.
Yeah.
So on their terms. On their terms.
Yeah.
You make time for people, whatever the fuck that phrase is,
Yeah.
on their terms though. And I'll tell you a recent example, right? One of my friends, like before the new year, like leading up to the new year, we used to talk pretty often. She asked me about my relationship, tell me about hers, like all this shit. And because like I get busy, I have work to do, or you know, I'm going through shit. Sometimes I don't respond to people, right? But it's not like she was messaging me saying like, "What the fuck's up?" Sometimes you have those friends where you just go weeks without talking.
Yeah.
So that was the situation. She hits me up out of the blue. And she's talking to me about some race that she has coming up. She's like, I'm gonna be free tomorrow, something along those lines, right? And I'm like, yeah, just hit me up. I'm like, she's like, I miss you. Like I need to catch up with all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, just hit me up tomorrow, right? I said, you hit me up tomorrow to just let me know what's going on. Yeah. No hit up. And then it just goes on for weeks, right? And then when they want to make time, but I'm busy, all of a sudden it's a problem. Right. And I'm just like
I gave you the opportunity when I'd be available.
And I think people mistake that for like me actually being, there's this whole joke about me being a Pisces and being sensitive. But at the same time, it's like, no, I'm not sensitive. I just don't give a fuck. Like I have so many things to do that if I give you a chance and then you quote unquote fuck it up, or like you just disregard it. Yeah. I'm not chasing you. Yeah. I don't chase you. I don't have time to chase. The time that I'm spending chasing you, I could be watching like 10 YouTube tutorials on how to do something, which is then gonna make me money down the road, right? Or I could be out shooting. I could be doing a number of things rather than sitting there wondering like, yo, like why is this person? I haven't seen this friend in so long, blah, blah, blah. Like my true friends understand because most of them are going through similar shit. Yeah. Right? Like you said, like you'll go periods of time where you might not be auditioning, but you're grinding, like managing the store, right? To me, like let's say I was living in a van, like, and I was trying to hang out with Birch and I understood the situation, those things wouldn't bother me. Right? But I know for a fact you've been in positions where that has bothered some people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The thing is like I'm one of the most accommodating. I host parties, so which means I'm very visible and easy to see. So like you have no excuse. You can't be like, oh, I never see. I'm like, you come to my party for an hour. Yeah. Like you can come to my store. Like you can see whatever. And it's just like,
you know where I am.
I'm very. It's not hard to find where I am at all. And chances are where I am is somewhere that you could also be. It's not like my job or anything that I'm doing is like not inclusive by any means.
Yeah, it's not like you're like an office 9 to 5.
Yeah, like we're just like
I can't stop by.
Like it's. Everything about my life, for the most part, is super chill and very open to the people in my life. That, like, if you are not able to, like, line things up or make things work, it doesn't bother me by any means. Yeah. But it says a lot if you come at me and, like, in a sense of, like, you know, if you really want this, you would make time. I'm like, I make time for the things that, like, I need to make time for. Like, I'm in a point where I can live a little more selfishly. My mom hates this because she's like, you need to stop living so selfishly.
Yeah.
But like, I'm in a position where I can, because there's things that I'm trying to do,
Right.
and it requires, like, for me, like a level of isolation to a degree. I don't isolate myself as a person. I'm very social. I'm out a lot.
Yeah.
But it's in terms of what I'm trying to do, it minimizes certain interactions. But
Yeah.
I invest. I'm a people person. Like, I love people. I will always go above and beyond to be around people. And any testament to that is me leaving my house in this cold right now.
Yeah.
I could have easily,
Yeah.
easily been in the confines of my warm house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside is mud,
Yeah.
but I'm here. You know what I mean? It's just like, you do the things that you want to do.
Right.
That's so true, man. Like, I think there's this misconception. I don't know if you've ever felt it, but there's this misconception where people think, I often wonder if people think that I'm not a people person. And it's like, that couldn't be further from the truth. But it's like, I'm not
a you person.
Yeah. Like, I'm not out here.
I'm not for you.
I'm not for you. Like, I'm not out here as much as I used to be being friends with everyone, right? Like, I can still do that.
Right.
But it's like, now I understand, okay, I got shit to do, man. Like, the amount of times that I have gone out and just ghosted, like said bye to the people that I actually care about, and then just peace.
No one else time you leave.
There's some other shit I gotta do.
I'm not gonna run around and say bye to everybody.
And then I got texts later on just being like,
yo, when did you leave?
when'd you leave? Like, why did you come to the after party? It's like,
No.
What?
bro, like, I gotta sleep, or like, I got work to do. I got something to do, you know? Sorry, we took a break
Yeah.
to eat some pizza.
I'm lost right now.
We
Next time.
really made a guy travel in a snowstorm to come get pizza.
Listen, man. If you want to work for a pizza company, this comes the territory.
I was just about to say.
Those storms are yours. Hold
You just
those.
have to know.
Hold those storms.
Listen, if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, you're getting the bag right now.
Bag.
Like, I don't even. What is the surge right now? Like 6 times?
6 times premium to go 5 blocks, $50 a block. What?
You say what?
Walk.
It's like
55 a block.
75%.
Walk them.
My price just went up.
Walk them. Okay, fine, whatever.
And the surge is everywhere, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Our next topic. Next topic was this something that someone asked us? All these topics.
These are all something someone's at. Some
Okay.
I rephrase them, paraphrase them, so
someone
they make more sense. But
So someone asked, how has being raised in a black home shaped you in the community? What do you think?
I'm sure. So you guys are.
What do you think? Because now you're living in Van, where there's not too many of us out there. What's that been like?
I would say, I mean, for me, it's just like, well, one, like when you're in Vancouver, like you're hyper aware of like your blackness. There's just like, you run into a lot of those scenarios where like it sometimes it's in a comedic sense, or sometimes it's just like a moment of shock where you're just like, oh, like I'm black.
Yeah.
like you have some of those moments.
That's so funny because it's so true.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like I'm actually black.
I'm black.
But I mean, it's like for me, it's like it's a being black is fun. It's like we're responsible for so many things.
Yeah.
Whether we're credited or not, that it's just like it's just a cool thing to be. And like people, and like before you even know what it means, people look at you for everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like this, it starts in like elementary school. Like, you know, people are looking for you for like what music or what clothes or whatever it is that they, you know, it's just before I can remember, like that was just a thing. Like people just knew that we were it, or we were the source of whatever. And we're at a place now where we kind of like take ownership of that. So, I mean, being in Vancouver, it's just like, it's just that at a heightened level, but it's like, it's just dope. Like just, that's kind of like, that's the easiest way that I kind of put it. But being in the community is, it's not, there's the downsides that every black man kind of has to deal with.
Yeah.
That you're going to deal with anywhere. But I've always kind of tried to look at it from the most like optimistic perspective, in the sense that we have so much left to do, and we've done so much amazing things already, that it's just like, to me, it's an exciting time to be black in the world, period.
I think the thing that stood out to me is when you talked about the hyper awareness of being black, because it just made me think about the story I told when I was at the Sobeys and the dude fucking wanted to step in line or whatever. I remember as I'm like talking to this white dude, basically saying like he didn't have to be a dick about me going to the register before he did. I remember standing there thinking for like a hot second. I was like, yo, I'm the only black dude in here. Like, I kind of have to chill. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a thought that actually went through my head so quickly. It was kind of like a video game when shit slows down and you're the only one moving fast. Like, I slowed down and I looked around. I'm like, I scanned the scene and I'm like, oh man, like, I'm the only one. I gotta be careful.
I know what this looks like.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know what this looks like.
It's crazy you gotta have those moments, but like we all have those moments where you're like, oh, like okay, like this is gonna escalate or things are gonna be very different.
Yeah,
because it's just me.
Pretty much, you're not wrong. How's it like? It's kind of an interesting question. How's it like shapes me in the community? I think because for the majority of like my education life, I always went to schools where there weren't too many black people. So I think that the hyper awareness thing was huge because if I didn't tell myself that like I'm one of the few black people, someone was telling me that, right? And it's weird, you know, when you have those situations where people say like, okay, so you think I'm like the ambassador for all black people? Right. There's like a part of your brain when you're in those situations where you actually believe that. Yeah. Because you're like, yo, these people really, they really don't have any like interaction with black people outside of me. Yeah. So it's not like I'm trying to conform to them, but it's like I'm really trying to show people that it's like, yo, we're different, but we're not like different in the way that they think we're different. Right. You know what I mean? Like I say we're different because, like Bert said, like we're kind of the originators of cool. Like I'm okay with saying that, but we're different because a lot of the same things that, you know, other cultures go through or deal with, I mean, it's very different for us. And I think being black and being aware of those things constantly make me think about almost every situation that I go into, even now when I'm working, like who I deal with, how I deal with them, how I speak, like do all these things. I think those are things that I always think about. I think it was Paul Mooney who said, the black man is the greatest actor on earth. Because he was basically, because it's true. Like if you really think about it, think about the fact that when you worked a 9 to 5, I guarantee you probably spoke differently at your 9 to 5 than how you did with, like, for example, like Warren, like your boys, right? I mean, some of it's the same, but like at the same time, you know, I can't talk to fucking
certain tones,
I can't talk to Karen at work the same way I would talk to Ryan. You know what I mean? Right. And it's like because we're so aware of these things, you're in your program, you're like, okay, I know when I'm in this space, I got to move a little bit differently to succeed. And when I'm in this space, I'm more comfortable to do what I want to do. I don't know. I think some people might interpret that in a sad way. Some people might look at that like that's kind of sad. But honestly, I'm just like, I don't know. It's allowed me to experience a lot of cultures in different ways too.
For me, I feel like being raised in the black home, and not only black home, but the Caribbean home, the level of discipline and the level of accountability that I have now as an adult is much higher than, I guess, others. And I think that is portrayed by how I carry myself. And even just like little decisions, like I'll second guess doing certain things because of how I know I can be interpreted by people who don't understand me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like at work, for example, it's like, okay, if something goes missing, right? Or if something's damaged. Yeah. Or if this person gets away with something and I know I could get away with it, I'm like, she's gonna get away with it because she's white. Yeah. And because she's innocent. Yeah. If I do the very same thing, like even if I know she does it and everyone's aware that she does, it's like it's not even like it's in secret anymore. Because before, like there'd be things like, okay, she gets away with it, I get away with it, no one knows. But now like it's so blatant now. It's like everyone's kind of like, yeah, that's Judy, she does that. Yeah. But if I do the very same thing, it's Ryan, why'd you do that? And my argument can never be Judy's been doing that.
Yeah.
I don't have that luxury. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm so aware that I can't use that as an argument.
Yeah.
But Judy, for example, or someone else who's not a black male, if they get in trouble, they can be like, oh, I saw Birch doing that, so I thought it was okay. Like, and they're like, oh, Birch, okay. Well, guys, you can't do. You know what I mean? If I use that argument, like, oh, I saw Judy doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, we don't do that. Like, it's so overlooked, whatever I just said, as an excuse, that I feel like it's not even, I'm not even saying I'm attacked. Like, people might be like, well, it's just how you, no, like, it's a fact.
Well, you know,
like, go ahead.
No, go on.
No, because like that made me think of like a very specific like moment like that. I remember the first time like I ever had that. So one of my first jobs in like early high school, I used to work at like Wendy's and like just like doing the fries and all that kind of stuff. And I remember like I was portioning fries out, and a fry like fell off like out of the tray and like just landed on like my hand like this. I was like, well, I can't serve that.
Yeah.
So I just ate it. Like I just walked off, like literally walked off and just ate it. And then maybe like 30 minutes later, manager pulls me aside and was just like, hey, like yo, what happened? I was like, oh, like fry fell off on my hand. I was like, I throw it out on one fry, I just ate it, like no big deal. And it's like, oh, like, well, we don't do that. That's considered theft. Da da da. And I was just like full sit down, write up, sign paperwork, and I'm just like,
he wrote you up for eating the fry.
Wrote me up for eating the fry, and I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, I'm like, wow, like okay, like things are very strict here, like that's pretty messed up. Go through that sign, I was like, you know what, like I did it, I own it, that's my, like I fucked up, completely responsible. I come out of that, I'm working the rest of my shift. Obviously, I'm like, I'm not in a good space because like I fucked up.
Yeah.
The rest of my coworkers are like, hey Jordan, and just start eating stuff like in front of me.
The privilege.
And they're just like, dude, and I'm just like, wow. I'm like, oh, so like this applies to me. Like this is a me rule. And I was like, okay. And that being said, I was the only black guy on staff for the duration of the time that I worked there, and I was just like.
And they really taunted you.
Like legit like taunted me the rest of my shift with it. And I was like, that's crazy.
And what are you gonna say?
What are you gonna do?
Boss, they're eating, like, what am I gonna, I can't say that.
It was nuts.
Like, I like, the fact that we accept that we can't even say, like, we can't even give you hard facts and still lose.
Bro.
Like, you could at least went to your boss and be like, so I just got written up for eating a fry, but those guys are eating fries out there right now. And he'd been like, just do your job. Like literally, he would be like,
just focus on
you know what? I'll talk to them. He won't talk to them, first of all, but he would give you. I'll talk to them. I'm glad you told me. I'm glad you told me, Birch. Thanks. He's not glad. He's not talking to them. First of all, go back to work before I write you up for snitching.
Yo, remember?
That's literally what it is.
Like,
remember when I think it was the last episode when we talked about the Gillette commercial, right? And how at one point we talked about how sometimes men in the workplace, we will mansplain or like talk over women. Yeah. Like one will have a great idea and someone will be like, I think what she's trying to say is this, blah, 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 right? I don't know what the term for that is, but I believe that type of shit happens to black people so often in the workplace. And an example I give is this. I have basically stood up for myself before, or like not argued sounds like such a like forward word, but it's like, you know, someone gives me bullshit. I'm gonna voice what I think. Yeah. And when I do that, I've literally been told that the word that I've been described as is aggressive in that situation.
You're very aggressive today, someone.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, my voice was not raised. My tone is deeper than hers, right? But because I chose to actually speak up about
being coward,
right, about the situation, I'm being classified as aggressive. But there's no way, like let's say a white girl, for example, is gonna get called aggressive.
There's certain words that won't be used.
Unless she's literally, you know, like posturing, like moving a certain way. Whereas for me, or people that look like us, all I have to do is just talk back.
Speak up.
Just speak up. And it's considered aggressive. right? And I'm just like, it's kind of crazy when you think about those situations.
So yeah, think about that for you. Think how bad it is like for women. Like
Yeah.
being a black woman,
Black
like
woman,
that,
yeah.
like that
Double.
stigma is crazy.
Yeah.
Literally double.
Yeah.
Or you're a woman and you're black.
Mm.
And dark skin? Whoa.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts.
I don't even hear what you say.
Yeah.
Like that's how it's crazy. It's sad. But this question really it's a deep question because there's so many situations and scenarios that we encounter that we've literally just come to just accept to the point that I don't even know them all anymore.
You know, look, I don't
like
think the problem
like,
is
go ahead.
because that's a see, when I said it earlier, I don't know if people are gonna look at it like it's sad.
Yeah.
That's a prime example because the fact that you said there's so many examples or situations that we just accept. I know that there are some people who are like, damn, like that's sad, right? But it's like such a reality that I don't even think about it in the sense where it's like, okay, you know, I understand that because I'm a black dude, there are literally certain things that
I can't do.
I cannot do without
well, you
it,
can.
without
you
it,
can. You
yeah.
can. I just can't.
without it being perceived
Same
a certain
thing.
way.
Yeah. Same.
Without,
Exact same thing.
You know?
I just can't do it though.
There's certain things you cannot do.
Yeah.
Because and the thing is, it's the fact that I know that I can't do it and then having to try explain to someone why I can.
Why not though?
That's where my frustration comes
Yeah.
in sometimes. Because I'm like,
what are you talking about, man? Just do it. I can't. I do it all the time. I know.
That's good for you.
I know
good for you.
I know you do.
It's not happening to
I,
everybody.
it doesn't work that way for
Yeah.
me.
Bro,
you
like
know?
the easiest way to see it is like when you look at like different crimes that are committed and just how they report us and how they report different people. Like the language that they use.
it's
the,
always
the pictures. It's always like if
it's protective for them.
like it's crazy.
Bro,
It's
I'll never-
protective.
yo.
It's gentle. It's
It's-
distressed, struggling,
Bro, I'll never
He's
forget this.
misguided.
astray.
Listen, I'll
Led
never forget
astray.
this. Last year, it was either last year or the year before, I was helping my boy on set for one of his, he was shooting a movie and they had prop guns on set, right? But you know what it's like, the shit looks real. And I remember I had posted a photo that my buddy took of me holding this gun, right? Because I had the vest and I looked like I was an extra in this thing, so I looked like I was supposed to be like a soldier, or whatever. And I remember posting it, people were commenting, and my boy, who is, I don't even know why I mentioned, but he's biracial, right? Half white, half black. He saw that photo and he's like, yo, if you ever did anything wrong, this is the photo they would use to put on the news.
Oh my god, they would pull it up.
And at first I laughed. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, he's right. And I took that shit down so quickly because I was like,
Don't give
yo,
anyone access.
he's actually right. They're not gonna find a great photo of me. They're gonna find a photo that like paints me in a particular way, in the worst way possible.
He had a certain lifestyle.
Yeah, that's what they would have said.
Yeah.
They would have posted the photo of me holding this assault
And be
rifle.
like he was known to have this lifestyle.
I was like, that's a prop. It's not real. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know
But it
that.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's the other thing that like, and this kind of goes into like a different space of like one, how people kind of choose the narratives that they want to write about people, but also like when people make mistakes and like let's say like, you know, now the big thing is cancel culture, and it's just like, hey, like I'm done with this person, or they fucked up, I don't mess with them no more. Or when they find out the thing that you thought they didn't actually do. That word does not come out. That it might be like a byline in like the subsection, the fine print of some story that by the way, they didn't actually do this. But the story of it happening is widespread and it's massive news. Like people don't care.
Well,
like once the truth comes out, they just need to push like a certain narrative.
Well, okay, example, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it. So, you know, it was reported, everyone was reporting like last week that Chris Brown was dealing with some like rape charges, right, in Paris. And then it turned out like I didn't even read the full story, but I don't know if it was the woman who was accused, like someone, it basically just came out that he didn't do it. He wasn't even there. He wasn't even involved, right? And that wasn't a bigger story than people saying, yo, like Chris Brown is dealing with these rape allegations and thing. So that's crazy, right? Because like, I mean, a rape is already something that's incredibly like serious. So for that story to come out and then for it to not come back out with people saying, okay, he's actually not involved whatsoever.
It just fizzles it just fizzles away.
Like the term printing a retraction, does that exist anymore?
No, it doesn't. Firefest. There's a part in it when Billy's talking about going to prison. Right? And he asks,
he's like,
he asks,
oh, you know if he's out, you're saying.
I haven't seen that part, but go ahead.
There's a part where he's talking to this black dude who's like some videographer, and this black guy had like, you know, spent some time in jail before. So Billy decides to ask him like, what was that experience like? And then he says it was shit, you know, like I spent 23 hours in my cell and I only had 1 hour out. And this black guy said, he's like, Billy looked me dead in my eye and was like, I'm not going to jail. So I'm not going to jail. And when he said that, I swear to God, the black guy had the same reaction that I did. Because he was like, yo, either he knows something that I don't, or his life is just that different than mine. Because the fact that he was like, I'm not going to jail. Like, can you imagine? Confidently. This man's 25 years old. Remember that. He's 25 years old. And he looks him dead in his eye. And he's like, I'm not going to jail. After he just defrauded like $27 million. This guy had the balls.
That's literally being aware of the privilege.
That 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Because there's no possible way if I defrauded anyone that I'm like, I'll get off. like, what? If I got caught, I'd be like, I'll see you guys.
I see you.
There's no way I'd be like, I can get off this.
Bro, that is wild.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about that is it's like, there are certain things that will reset the rules for you. Making a lot of money is one of them. So when you're already at an advantage and you have that, the confidence is in a very different place.
When your money's up there, like you believe it's like a bulletproof vest for you.
But at the same time, it's like I kind of feel like I think that if I somehow came into like a stupid amount of money,
it still bring you down.
The same rules, you know what I mean? Like the same rules.
They bring you down even harder.
Yeah.
Affect me
now.
You
got money? Oh, get him.
They wouldn't necessarily be the same, but I'm still black, bro. Like that's the reality of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, does money really change anything?
For us, no.
Not much.
He's still untouchable.
If it's not beneficial to them, not much. No.
That's a really good point.
That's the key.
Because I've said so many times, I'm like, why do people think that just because this person, like, I'll bring it up again. I talked about John Jones before, right? The UFC fighter. And he was dealing with these issues where he like got tested for like a banned substance while competing. He got banned for like 2.5 years, right? And to put it into perspective, John Jones, his brothers play in the NFL. I think one played for the Patriots, one played for Arizona, but his brothers are huge. Like, they're big. So he grew up in that family where the only reason he's so good at fighting is because he used to get beat up by his older brothers, right? So he's like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm good at. He was the youngest UFC champion, black guy, first MMA fighter, period, to ever be sponsored by Nike, right? Like, that was a big deal until the UFC decided that they're going to change up the way they do their sponsorships. Now they're sponsored by Reebok. But this was a kid who's arguably the best fighter of all time, right? Then he gets banned for like 2.5 years for having a banned substance system. And he comes back, and there was like a slew of other problems where it's like, I don't believe he did some of these things. Like, people are trying to say that he's still been taking drugs. I don't think that's the case. And I'm like, something here doesn't make sense. Like, he competed recently and he won, and people are like, how are they letting this guy compete, right? And I'm like, listen, this dude, like, you guys have to remember, this dude is black. Like, they're not going to go to the lengths that they are to save this dude. No matter how much money, like, you think that he's making the UFC, I promise you, they're not going to the lengths to save this guy.
Right.
Because I look at the way the organization is set up, just like any other thing. And I'm like, you got all these white dudes who fight for you, who make a fuckload of money. First guy that comes to mind is Conor McGregor. And he does some wild and says a lot of wild and racist shit. No problems. Nothing. No trouble whatsoever. And you expect me to believe that they're going to go out of their way to save this black dude? I know it sounds cynical to like just say because he's black. But I'm like, come on. Like, that's a real thing. That's really a real thing. And it's sad to say, but I think a lot of people want to see successful black people lose. Right? Like, I truly believe that. Like, there are people who are genuinely happy when they find out that someone fucked up. That's black in a position of power.
It's about time. I saw that coming. What?
No, you didn't. Yeah.
Like,
you may have been wished for it.
Yeah,
you didn't wish. We didn't see it coming.
You didn't see it coming.
You wish for it to happen. Like that is the reality. Like, and that's the problem. Like, I don't know if I think this way because
of what you've been conditioned to see.
Because of what I've been conditioned to see and like what I've been told. But at the same time, it's like I think that way based on shit that I've actually seen.
Yeah, you're not just saying it.
Because it's one thing when, like, you know, you say like your parents tell you and your family this is what the world is like.
Yeah, when you see it.
But then you have that moment where you actually experience it, and you're like, yo, like,
you guys really do this? Like, you guys really do this?
I was talking to Jamie about this the other day, right? Because I want to say it's a weird dynamic, but she's white, I'm black, but we have these types of conversations, right? And I think I was talking about the first time I was ever called the N-word, right? Like, not that with the A, like a hard ER. And I said, like, truthfully, I was more shocked that someone would actually, like, that actually happen, like someone would actually call me that in this day and age versus like it actually happened. You know what I'm trying to say? I was like, yo, there are really people out here like this. And this is when I was young, right? Like, really young. I'm just like, man, like, this person literally called me this word because they do not like the color of my skin.
Yeah, solely. Like, that's the first thing that came to their mind. You don't know me at all.
There's like a slew of other words I would call a white dude before I call him like a cracker.
I mean,
right?
It's not comparable, but
it's not comparable at all. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's their argument.
To target their color.
Yeah, target their color. There's so many things I would say before that.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what's crazy, because we get taught all these things. Like you said, we got a code that we live by, then we got to go out in the world and learn these other codes. But the moment you have that experience where you can look at your parents and be like, yeah, you were right. Yeah. You're like, fuck. You're actually like, shit, this actually sucks, because it actually does happen.
Right. It's a crazy thing. One, because like the rules are constantly evolving. So it's not like a set thing where you can look to your son and be like, hey, this is the game. You're old enough to have this conversation. Do it. And it's just like, nah, there's like a whole world of things that like next generation is going to have to learn and evolve, because people who think these kinds of things or feel these kinds of way about black people, minorities of any way, they find different ways, like different nuance to hide and insert these things into things that they do.
Subtle racism.
Whether it's like, whether it's in the policies that they build, or they don't have to say it to your face anymore. You know what I mean? They can have like a fake Twitter account and just say whatever they want to say. Yeah. Like, it's the rules keep changing, or the places, like, these people are finding different ways to hide. Like, it's there's no set thing. And when I look at in terms of like being black and like going back to Bones Jones, what it makes me think of is like, who do we have that's achieved a peak in anything, like greater than anyone, and came out unscathed? Yeah. And by that I mean that didn't have any scandal, that wasn't assassinated, that people didn't aggressively want to see them fall, and enjoyed watching the decline. We haven't had that. I think the closest thing right now is probably like Will Smith. Because you look at Tiger Woods.
I was gonna say Obama. Obama was kind of close.
Yes.
But it's the fact that he was in politics that, you know, there's people that are gonna want to see him lose. But the fact that he was president for that long, never had a scandal.
And
to me, that's shocking.
I love Obama.
Yeah.
He's literally, I think he's the only person that, like, him and put Michelle up there too. Those two what can you say? What can you say?
His
You know what I
biggest
mean?
scandal while he was president was the fact that he wore a beige suit that one time. You remember? Yeah.
And people are like, and like it is politics, so people like literally are looking for anything
And you still
to
can't.
get you out the paint.
But really, Obama literally did what he had to do. Didn't die, fortunately. Still positive guy, and like nothing. Like he's good.
Yeah. And we don't. And that's what I'm saying. But when you look at like, we don't have a lot of those people.
No,
Yeah.
he's rare.
Like,
That's why
it's-
he was the first
and
ever,
So it's like it's crazy
and
to see.
probably the last. Unfortunately,
Like it's just, those are like random things that I
Yeah,
think about. It's just like, and it's because like there's a level of like success that I want to achieve or things that I want to do, and it's like, are you ready for to have the world try to tear you down because of how good you are at something or because of the things that you're able to achieve? And that's a different level because that's not a genuine concern. And this might be like an overly ambitious thought to think that I'll even get to a place where people are actively trying to do that, or you have to think about like, okay, do I need to preemptively delete these tweets because I know in like 6 years
Like,
somebody's gonna dig all these up because they're looking for something,
Bro,
Like,
you know what's crazy? You made me think of like Get Out, right? The connection for that whole that the whole thing happened. Like everything that happened in that movie happened because the grandfather lost to
because he was mad for racing. He lost in the race.
he lost in a race to a black dude, and he was like, "Yo, that dude
He
has
held the anger.
He's like, he has everything. Like he has everything that I do not have physically, and I want it."
Yeah.
The whole movie was predicated on that. He's like, I
need
don't
it.
like that he has this, so I need to take it. I need to take it. That's crazy. I don't know how I'm just making that connection now.
but yeah,
And not only did he have it, he had it just given, just gifted.
Yeah.
Like I've been trained for it. He was naturally just better.
Man, I don't know what to say. Like it
it's just crazy because I don't know anybody else that thinks like that. Like I don't look at people and be like, oh man, like he grew up with both his parents in his life. Like I hate this guy. Like you don't think things like that, or like, oh, like people who have more than you. Like most of the people that I've met in my life, like nobody thinks like that I want, like I need to take what you have.
Yeah.
Or even when like, this is like another thing that I think is when people look at, when you have friends who are either in like the same field as you or similar fields as you, and then like they start having success, it's okay to want similar success. But then there are people who they don't want to do the things like in a similar place. They want what you have. It's not like, oh, like, you know what, like Ryan's got a great girl. I would love to have a girl like that. It's like, no, I want his girl. Like there are people who think
that.
There are people who think like that, and it's
just
crazy, like how it shows itself. But like those are the things that like I find now that I have to watch, because things don't show themselves in the same way.
Like they actually want your role, not a similar job, not a similar space. I want the role they gave to you. I want it.
Because you have it. They don't even care about the role itself, but it's just because you are the person that they gave it to.
No.
They want that thing,
Man.
and like that's crazy. And like and going back to where this started from, that's why I love being black, man. Like there's just gonna be things that people want that I naturally have, and I'm okay with that. And like there are things that other people have that I'm cool not having.
Yeah.
It's just like it's cool.
Yeah.
Can you guys remember the first time that you had that moment where it's like you're like, damn, my parents were right? Can you remember that?
First time?
I do. I was in the 7th, 8th grade. So back then, like I was like a big Iverson fan. So I had braids, and like I'm a tiny kid, and I remember I was like, you don't really have girlfriends back then, but you know the equivalent of what my girlfriend was like at that age.
Yeah.
And her mom was just like not a fan of me at all.
Yeah.
And it was like specifically because I could tell it was just because I had braids and just how I looked. I'm a kid from Scarborough, just running around, and like my mom kind of let me know that like, hey, people are gonna look at you differently. Like you got to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, nah, like I'm a good kid. Like nobody's thinking that.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where like her mom was just like, yo, like I don't want you talking to him. Like he's a hood kid. Like that, just saying all these things, and she had never met me in my life, and I thought that was crazy. And at some point, like me and her didn't really talk anymore. And then she came to like my grade 8 graduation, and I just happened to be athlete of the year and valedictorian. And so now she's seeing me in a different light. She's like, hey, anytime you want to come over, you can, like feel free, da da da. And I was just like, wow, like this is
Yeah.
That was the first time that like I had seen that someone's like, wow, like somebody really like did not know me and had made all these assumptions, and when they finally saw me, had to like take it all back.
Yeah.
But what made it more crazy, like, this was a black woman who was looking at me like this. This
Yeah.
wasn't like somebody from like another group or anything. I thought this is somebody I thought would understand. Like I'm just a regular kid. And that was the first time I had to look at my mom. I was like, wow, like these are the type of interactions that she's preparing me for, and they can come from anywhere.
Yo, like I've had a lot more of those experiences from people that weren't black, but the first time I ever had experience was from someone that was Trini, but it was like kind of dark. You know what I mean? So it's like I think, because I don't know the historical, I don't know like the cultural background of a lot of Trini people, but I know it's like you're either like a lot of them are black or they're like the actual Indian. You know what I mean? So what I remember was I remember dating a girl, and I remember same situation before I even met her family. She told me that her grandparents were just like not a fan of me. I'm like, I haven't even met them yet. Like, where's this coming from? And then it clued into me that, oh, it's because I'm black. Like, I'm dark skinned. I had braids back then too. I looked a certain way. And I'm just like, yo, people actually think this way. It actually fucking sucks. Like, people really do think this way.
It's true.
And I was like, how do I even deal with this? You know what I mean? And then as I got older, I think when I was so young, I didn't know how to process it. Because it was like something I was
Doesn't
like,
make sense.
I was like, how do you not like me? You've never met me. Then as I got older, I understood one, like how certain people grew up, like where certain things came from. So I'm just like, you know what? I can't control some of those situations. But at the same time, it does kind of eat me inside where I'm just like, it bothers me that people really do think this way.
Bro, the thing is, we all have accepted that. I mean, I'm sure you all heard the phrase, you know, work twice as hard than to get just as much, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like we've come to a point where we have to accept that we're starting the game minus 20. You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah. I know what you're saying.
Like, we're just starting the game. You're starting your audition, you're minus 20. So, like, anytime you go into anything, and I think it does work to our advantage, that reality, because once you're aware of it, it's almost like the world's at your mercy. Because if you flip it to a positive, right? If you're not aware of it, then you lose, right? Because then you go in with the same mentality as everybody else, super calm, just I'll work as hard as I can, and you're down 20, but you're not aware of it. So you're like, well, I did the same that he didn't. Why didn't I get that part there? I just how come I didn't get the gig? Like, I did the exact same thing he did. But once you're aware of this reality that you're down 20, you work that much harder than them, and they don't even know that. Like, whoever you're against doesn't even know that you're working to get past that 21st to get to equal. So it's almost like you're coming, to give you an example in a visual perspective, you're already sprinting and they're about to start the race. Yeah. That's literally like, because you're like, I've been sprinting from I've been running. So I've been running, and it's like they're about to say go. By the time that the whistle goes for them, you've been sprinting, you're already warm. You know what I mean? So they're running like a regular race. You're like, I've already been running for a couple miles now. I know I have to run this extra 100 that you're now starting now. But you know what? I'm warm. Like, I've been running, and you know what? I've already run a kilometer. I could do another 100 meters. If I need the extra 100, I'll do it. I know you have fresh legs, but let's do this. That's what I've done for myself personally. Like, how I view things, I'm like, instead of letting it bother me, it's like, people don't know how hard I'm working behind the scenes, so I'm just gonna wow people. So to them, they're like, oh my God, like, where'd this come from? Like, I know where it came from, because I know that you're already coming at me with bias. So I'm just gonna show you, I'm just gonna do above and beyond, so that you think in your mind, like, wow, this is really good. When really it's more than really what I have to do just to get your attention. Yeah. But I'm aware of that. And the person that I'm up against, or whoever else my competition is, they're doing what's expected of them without having to worry about that deficit. And that actually gives us an advantage.
Yes.
I will say, like, to your point, there are times in my life where me thinking a certain way because I'm black and the situation going the complete opposite way, which turns out to be positive, has actually shocked me because of like my own thinking. Right. So example, like when I was looking for a new place to live, I remember everyone and their mother was telling me, yo, it is so hard to find a place in Toronto. Like you're gonna struggle, right? And I remember it was like maybe just over a month that we had left till I had to find a place because Jamie was moving here. And I started looking then. I came to this spot. They told me, be here for 1:30. You can come check it out. As I show up, I see like 5 people outside. No, 5 couples outside. And the first thing that went through my head, honest to God, I was like,
I'm gonna lose.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get this spot. Like, I'm like, there are couples here. Like, there's a bunch of white couples here, like some interracial couples, and I'm the only black dude
Solo.
with dreads, like showing up to this place. I'm
Solo.
like, by myself. I'm not getting this place. And then, you know, I talked to the people. They were cool. They happened to be from Mississauga. They went to Clarkson, right? And I was like, true. I was like, okay, I have an in. I went home that night, not expecting to hear anything. I heard back like 3 hours later. And they're like, yeah, we really liked you more than like everyone else. And this is like a old like Polish couple, right? Who's probably like seen some real like racist shit. And then they had kids too. So it's like, I was shocked, like genuinely shocked. I was like, yo, you gave this to me over like 20 other people that you showed this place to.
In your mind, were you trying to sell yourself?
This is the thing. I don't think I was trying to sell myself to them. I think once I knew they were from like Port Credit, that area, I was like, okay, cool. Like I have things to talk to them about.
So
they'll let my personality. But I think when I went into the situation with, fuck, they're not going to give me this place because I'm this, I was like already giving myself an excuse if I didn't get it. You know what I mean? Until I realized, like, just let me get in the room with you. Then I'll change your opinion. Which is kind of how I look at a lot of things now, right? Because I realized that's how I've looked at a lot of things. Because even when I got the job at the PR firm, right? Like I was still in school when I didn't think I was gonna get it, but I was like, just let me get in the room with you and let me talk to you. Like that might change certain things, your perception of me. Like you get a resume that says the name Zamor on it. Like some people might be like, oh, that's an interesting name. Like, what is this? And they see the last name Johnson. Like that's a mad white name. So like there's a lot of things that I've always thought about going to certain situations. But then I'm like, bro, just let me get in the room.
I've said this multiple times that credentials don't matter to people like you.
Yeah, I would say so.
They don't. Like,
true.
If the
I think now in this time
in
period,
this, I'll say it exactly this day and age, because back then again it was very strict, everything very linear. But in this day and age, personable people get ahead further than credentials. Someone with a master's in God knows everything versus someone with their undergrad, sometimes just high school, but a great personality and the CEO loves them. She's like, they'll take that chance on them and say, you know what, you might not have this here, but I'll give you this opportunity to learn it. Yeah. Again, the advantage and privilege, some of us won't even get that opportunity with the degree. Yeah. But again, like was more said, like if you do have the opportunity where you are in that room with certain people, if you can make the best of it and just show your honest self, we now have the opportunity to overcome barriers that previously would have just prevented us from getting anything prior.
Yeah, I think the thing that I try to live with is just like leave room for people and for the world to surprise you. Because if you think you know everything or you've committed, like your effort is gonna come down. Like even if it's just 2%, that 2% might be the difference. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of go into these things as optimistic as possible and leave everything you have out there. And give the world or give people the chance to surprise you, because you really never know. Just going back to that story, it's like you generally didn't think you were gonna get it, but there's something about you that obviously they gravitated towards. Yeah, and like it's just like I find a lot of people just like, and this will kind of go into whether people who are looking to be entrepreneurs of their own or go freelance or do whatever things that they want to do, is like that's like a part of like where the doubt, like that's where that doubt exists. Like,
Yeah.
can I do this thing? It's just like
Right.
some of it is just like not. It's some of the doubt is in your own skill level, and then a lot of it is just like how people receive it. Do you know what I mean? If you create art, it's just like how you receive it. Let the world surprise you. They will tell you. Like people, if you do what you're supposed to do at a consistent level, things will happen.
Yeah.
What will happen, we don't know, but things will happen more often in a positive way at some point.
Right.
But you gotta leave room to let people surprise you.
That's such a good point,
Because-
man. Yeah, like I never really thought of it that way. Like you gotta leave room for people to surprise you.
I have to, because like think about how much people make assumptions about us.
Yeah.
We can't carry that to other people.
Yeah.
But we can't. Like
You
the
don't-
most
you don't know.
hypocritical shit
Yeah.
Yeah.
ever. So like you have to leave room. It's just like, okay, like people from this area, they might be like this, but I can't go into
Yeah.
this.
Well, that's the thing. I think, and I said it before, being black has afforded me the ability to really look at other people's perspectives. Like I do that so naturally to the point where, you know, like I have like, it sounds ridiculous to say, but it's like I have a really hard time like judging someone off the bat without having speaking to them. I'm more likely to judge myself in certain situations beforehand. So it's like, you know, let's say we're talking about someone in a different culture. Like usually my first thing is like, I don't even know what their experiences are like. Right. So, and that may be the reason why they are the way that they are. So I gotta figure out who this person is before I can even say anything. And I think because I'm black, it's the reason I think like that, because I know that I'd want someone to do that for me. I'm like, I'd want them to get to know me first before they cast judgment upon me or, you know, create whatever perception it may be. But it is really interesting, right? I think as you get older and you're black, you start like not over analyzing, but you start really like dialing in on like what's going on in the world, like where do you fit in, like what it is that you do, how people perceive you, how you perceive others. I think those are all good things to do for like, you know, if we or when we have kids in the future. Because I don't know, like I feel like I'd want to raise my kids a little bit differently, but what you said is like a mindset that I would carry across, right? Where it's like you got to leave people room to surprise you.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like, it's always been a thing where I look at, well, there's some people where you meet people and you have to build equity with people.
Yeah.
So you'll meet them and they'll start here, and as you get to know them, they'll work their way up, and you'll develop trust in those things. For me, when I meet anyone, we're here until you give us a reason not to be.
Yeah.
You know, off the bat, like I'm gonna assume the best out of everyone, but I'm prepared to be disappointed. I'm okay with that. I'm prepared to be disappointed. I'm prepared to like have my heart broken. I can handle all of these things, and I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
But I would much rather live as freely and as positive as I can and just take those things as they come, as opposed to like bracing myself for impact that never comes.
Yeah.
Like there's all this tension and it goes nowhere and nobody's hitting you.
Yeah.
Like you're just holding it for no reason. Like why live like that?
Yeah.
So
learn
it's
to take it.
So
Learn to take it and be free. People are scared of the pain.
Yeah.
Why?
Like that was like the biggest thing. Like I don't know. Like here's a question that like I'll ask you guys, because what are you afraid of? Because like I find like the things that or like I'm afraid of, they're the defining things for me, but they shape how I navigate. So I'm curious, like is there anything that like you could openly say like I'm afraid of this?
The only fear I had doesn't exist anymore, and that fear was finding myself trapped in a position where I truly wasn't happy and scared to leave. Like that was a fear. Leaving something secure without knowing, like the position I'm in now, this whole thing's new for me every day. Because every day I'm learning something different. Every day I get a new call, a new gig, travel somewhere else. Like this is me literally living. I'm like, this is what life is. Like something's new every day. Wow, this is new. Wow, this is new. I'm learning. The fear I had was none of this existed because of that fear. The fear of the unknown. I didn't know like if I quit my job, I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
how I'll pay for this. I don't know if I can't pay my bills, or if I can't pay my phone bill, or I lose my car. Like, I just didn't know so much. And I was scared of not knowing it, that I just stayed doing something I fucking hated. And I'm like, what really made me quit was my cousin died last year, or the year before last year, sorry. And as a result of that, it like woke me up to be like, if you die still scared of this bullshit, you're gonna be really upset with yourself.
Yeah.
Because what you're scared of is nothing. And what you're scared of, you literally actually don't know. Like, in the literal sense, you actually don't even know what it is you're scared of, because it is unknown. So I'm like, I need to do this. Because if I get rid of this fear, I'm literally unstoppable. Because there's nothing, I'm not scared of people, I'm not scared of fans, comments, doubt. Not like, you know my personality. Like, there's nothing anyone can say to me that's like, oh man, you got me. Like, you get not like my shit. Ah, man, these guys didn't like my... Like, there's nothing else. It was literally just how I pay my bills and will I be okay? I don't know. So let me just keep working this day job. But once I got rid of that, I'm like, I'm not scared of death, because I've experienced it. I lose people all the time. I can't be scared of it. It's just, you do. So there's no other fear. So that's why, like, now I feel so free, because I'm like, there's nothing a human can do to me that I'm like, oh my God, like, if you rob me, then I'm robbed. Like, like, it's not, oh, I'm scared to get robbed. Like, I've lived in neighborhoods where there's crime everywhere. I know drug dealers and murder. Like, I know guys who do shit. Like, so it's like, if I'm the target, then I'm the target. I'm not scared of you though. Like, I'm not gonna avoid you. Like if you're coming for me, you're coming for me. I'm not scared of you. I'm not gonna adjust my life because of what you might, like, no. Like, so my fear that I had is gone now.
What about you, Z?
What's my fear? I think honestly it's probably just like Ryan said, I don't think it's a fear in regards to anything that someone else can do to me. It's more so my fear is just knowing that I'm not living up to my true potential. Like, I feel like Ryan said, there are moments where, you know, every day is something different. Every day is something new. While we're doing this podcast, I got an email for a gig, right? And I'm like, yes. Like, because I love money. Like, this, I think that might be a problem with me, how much I really love money. But I do. I'm open with saying that. But the fear for me is that I get to a point where I know that I could be doing something better creatively, and I just don't for whatever reason, which is kind of crazy because growing up, I don't think I ever had a creative bone in my body. Like, I kind of fell into photography and video work, if I'm being brutally honest, right? And part of that makes me think there are times where I have to tell myself to be really grateful about the things that I've gotten because of it, or things that I'm doing, because I know for a fact there were people who have been doing this for a long time that haven't, like, done some of the things that I have.
I haven't scratched the surface.
Right? And I'm just like, so part of me feels bad about that.
Why do you feel bad about it?
Part of me feels bad about it, not because, just because, like, I'm usually a sympathetic person, right?
What are you sympathizing with?
I'm sympathizing with the fact that, like, I know what it's like to struggle for a long time or something and just not be better than someone else. And I know that because of things like martial arts or like sports, right? Like, you know that no matter how
you just maxed out. You
just maxed out, right? So I understand that struggle. I can sympathize why someone may be sad about that, but where it stops is me knowing that you can probably do something else where you won't max out.
You're forcing it.
Where you won't max out so early, right? Like, I'm very good at getting to certain situations and saying to myself, like with boxing, I know, like, I will not beat this guy. Right now, I won't do that. And I'm okay with saying those things, because
you're stupid.
If I don't say those things, I could end up in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like, those things are detrimental to me. So in general, that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is just saying to myself, reaching a point where, like, if I'm sitting at this desk one day And I'm just like, man, I could be doing something, but I'm okay. I'm just not.
So
And
your fear is complacency?
It's kind of complacency. And the problem is at a certain age. Because right now I understand that there are times where, like, I'm still relatively young. So I know there are days where I'm going to go through shit. My mood changes like every day. But I don't want to be 40 and like sitting there and just being like, fuck. Like that emotion. Like I don't want to sit there just being like, damn it. Not that I should have done this. It's I could be doing this and I'm not doing anything to try and make it happen. You know, because I feel like I thought about it often, you know, like when you have a family and shit, I think certain things are going to change, right? And I've like told myself that from now, but I have no idea what's going to happen by the end of this year, let alone the next fucking 15, right? I could put myself in a position next year where I could literally do freelancing for the rest of my life and comfortably support my family. That's the ideal dream for me. Like that's what I would love to do. So I think, I don't know, maybe that's my fear of like not making that happen. But I think the way I counteract that is by telling myself like you can literally only control like what is in your
hands right now.
My hands right now, because I think that's where a lot of people fuck up when they get too ahead of themselves. And they try, yeah, it's like you're trying to grab a ghost. Yeah. You can't.
You're chasing a ghost.
You literally cannot do that, and that's where you fuck up, right? Like you try to grab something, and next thing you know, you're falling off a cliff. And I don't want to be that guy. You know, it's weird. Like it's really weird when I think about my journey so far. Like I said, I never did this shit growing up. A lot of people probably who follow me on IG that don't know me probably would assume that I've been doing this for a long time. And it's like, no, I just watched a lot of movies. I watched a lot of anime growing up. So that's why my mind is like the way that it is. And I play a lot of sports. Yeah. So it's not hard for me to be creative, you know?
Or you're just recreating things that you like to see.
That's really it.
That's what I'm doing.
You know what I mean? Like
I didn't go to photography school.
I said to a lot of people, like, and you play sports too. Like, I don't know if you felt like it in your life, but playing sports, I talked about anxiety with Chris, right? And I was like, I feel like the reason why a lot of women have some not serious, but a lot of women deal with anxiety is because I don't think a lot of them were put in positions when they were young enough to deal with it in certain situations. So for me, that was sports. I remember when I moved here, like when I was like 9 or 10, I didn't know anyone. My mom's like, she asked me and Kadeem, she's like, what do you guys want to do? There's a karate school and there's an art school. Like, Costco? It was right there. She's like, what do you want to do? I said, I'll do karate. Kadeem did art. And I remember being like a 12-year-old competing in like a national tournament where there's like fucking, you know, you got parents like yelling at these kids, like, you know, to kick each other's asses, like all this shit. That's like an anxiety inducing moment, right? You got people you don't know rooting for you to lose, right? And if you fucking lose, you go home with nothing, right? That causes anxiety. And the more that I dealt with that, the more those situations just stop bothering me. Like, it's hard for me to get like really anxious nowadays. I think it's because I went through a lot of those situations. And it's like fed into other things going on in my life, you know? That's a bit off topic, but I feel like that's something that people don't really talk about, you know? How sports can help you with anxiety and sometimes it doesn't help. But for me, I felt like it's helped a lot. And it's helped in my fucking professional life, you know? Because I play sports, obviously there's a level of competition with freelancing, but at the same time, I understand that if you're good enough, people just can't compete with you. You know what I mean? Like once you reach a certain level, that person over there can be doing their own thing in their lane, but they're not in my lane either. And there's nothing wrong with that. Which is why, you know, people are always like, some people are bitter about not getting certain gigs or like passing things off to other people. Right. You said it so many times. If I know you're better for a gig than I am, I have no issue telling someone like, go, yo, message Ryan, he'll do it.
See, my thing, like, I'm still on the point you made about feeling bad.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about those people.
You should never apologize for your blessings.
Like, I'm not saying you are bad for feeling bad, but I'm really on the complete other spectrum of the people that have been doing videography longer than I have. I only started really seriously last year or a year and a half ago. And prior to that, I was doing clothing designing, and prior to that, I was a basketball player the rest of my life.
Mm.
So, the people who've been doing photography since I was a basketball player, let's say, and still are doing it now, and seeing me traveling the world for free and doing all the shit I'm doing, and they're mad at me about it or whatever, or feeling a way about themselves about it, I don't give a shit. And
I was gonna say though, you know why my sympathy stops for them at a certain point though?
What?
Because I know pretty early into talking to them that they probably haven't evolved. You know what I mean? Like they haven't taken the steps to try and evolve. They've just been plateauing. So it's like I'm not ignorant to the fact that as a human, you're probably gonna feel some type of way that you've been doing this for damn near a decade. I know it has nothing to do with it, but it doesn't mean that I can't acknowledge that because I'm a human, you're a human. I understand that you probably feel some type of way, so I sympathize with that.
Right.
But I stop when I realize that that's your own fault though.
True. I mean, sorry. No, I was just thinking when I look at these things, I think there are going to be things that you work for that you don't get. There are going to be things that you work for that you do get, and there are things that you get that you didn't necessarily deserve. Right. Like you're just, it can be any one of those things.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, if you get something that you maybe didn't might not deserve in the moment, you can still make it worth something, or you can still do these things for it. And you should never apologize if something comes to you that you didn't expect, that you might not be qualified for, or whatever it might be, or there's somebody else who could have done the thing. Regardless, it's you. Yeah. It came to you for a reason, and it's your responsibility to just handle your shit. Yeah. So it's just I definitely wouldn't feel bad about those things. I just I would just hope that when things like that happen to other people, that I might lose out on an opportunity that they get, that they just make the most out of it. Because a lot of these times, these things that they could possibly be getting, they don't know that this is happening.
Didn't exist.
It doesn't exist for them. But it exists for you. So that anxiety is only on you. Yeah. There's not really the resentment is less likely to occur on their end unless the things that you're doing become quite visible.
Yeah.
And even then, that's on them.
Yeah.
So it's just you gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta take those things for what they are and just
I mean, it's definitely something I've gotten better at dealing with over the year. It was never at a point where I would get something and be like, damn, I feel bad for this person. Mm-hmm. It was more so, I'll be honest, sometimes it came from that athlete mentality where I was a dick about it, where I'd think about the situation that I'd be getting and I'd be like, how am I getting this and you haven't, and you've been doing this for so long?
Rhetorically.
Yeah, you know what I mean? How did
you wouldn't really ask them.
I wouldn't ask them unless I was comfortable enough with them. I wouldn't ask them, but I'd be like, how am I getting this? And you've been doing this for long. Because in my world that I have always grown up in, like you said, you put in the work, and if you do the work well, something will eventually come, right? And to your point, they could be putting in work for 10 years and their thing might not come for another 5, right? Mine just came a lot earlier. It's just, I don't know, it's just the way that I've always been. I think about other people's perspectives sometimes, but not to the point where it causes my work to fail.
The way I view it, again, the good reason why you're my co-host on the podcast is because you have that emotional side that I don't give a fuck about. Yeah. But it's good. It's literally, it's good. It's a really good balance. But for me, it's I literally look at things so binary.
Yeah.
And that's just my genetic makeup for myself and how I do things. It's okay, you as this other photographer, other creative, can be so skilled and you're doing all these things, you've been doing it for years. But one thing that you can't do and you can't gain is my work ethic and my personality. You can never gain it. No matter what you do, no matter what you put out. That is why I don't care about what people feel like, because I know and I'm aware that it's so much bigger than the skill. So I don't care. Like if someone's been doing it for 20 years and I've been doing it for 1, and I start traveling with Marcus Stroman and you're not, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're sad about that. I don't care if you wish you could have done that.
Yeah.
I don't care because whatever you were building wasn't a full circle of things. So I've been working on my personality, like the skill side came recent, but my whole life I've been working on interacting with people, and all these other things have come full circle to the point that it doesn't matter what I do, literally. If I wasn't doing photography, I was doing something else, I believe I would excel in whatever that is. Yeah. So it's not necessarily I'm passing other photographers. I'm passing whatever creative person of the field I choose to jump into. Like if I jump into acting, for example, and really start working on acting, like I want to be an actor, I will probably excel more than other actors who've been doing it for a while because I have other things other than just the acting that come with me. So me as a photographer, I'm a photographer by trade, by talent, but I'm Marcus Stroman's. I'm his friend. He likes me and he trusts me. It's not my work. Like my work is good, but he's not like, I wanted to work with this photographer because of his work. No, it's he liked me as a person. These people are liking you more as a person. You're getting gigs not because of your drone work. Yes, your drone work is great, but it's not your drone work. There's other guys with drone work. There's thousands, millions of drone work people that aren't getting jobs. Why? It's not because they've been doing it for 10 years. No, it's because when that connection happens and someone's like, oh, I like your drone work, it's like, thanks. It's a dead conversation. There's no closing. It doesn't lead anywhere. You're not asking about them. You're not asking what you do. Oh, how'd you find me? There's nothing. It's just, your work's good. Oh, thank you. Dead. And then they move on. And like, there's so many opportunities that people get, and they don't even realize that the opportunity they have could have been so much bigger based on how they responded. Well, they have no idea.
We talked about that earlier, about the fact that we worked corporate before. Why I tell people who are looking to go into freelancing, you have an advantage if you work corporate. Because you should understand what it's like when you talk to certain people. That like all the stuff that I've been doing with Nike, or like all the shit that I get from Nike, I was talking to my main contact there, and she's just like, yo, the difference between you and like other people is when we send you shit, or our agency sends you shit, you're actually like really grateful that you get this stuff. Like when I get the stuff, I'm out here texting like all the people I know that work for the company or like who's involved, saying thank you, or like blah blah, I appreciate it. Whereas there are some people who've been doing it longer than me, who are much bigger, who have got to a point
where said something one time, for example,
they just expect it. Like they know something's coming out, so they're like, okay, like when am I getting it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, and it's those things that turn people off. You know what I mean? So it is.
And that's exactly why I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're not getting is your own doing.
Yeah, that's true.
I strictly believe that. Whatever I haven't gotten yet is my own doing. Either I'm not good enough right now, either I haven't gone to the right places, I haven't traveled enough, I haven't done enough, or I don't have enough experience. So whatever it is, it's my own doing. It's not, they didn't pick me because... No. There's something that someone was looking for and you didn't have it. Yeah, that is it.
And the funny thing is, like, in my line of work, the reason why you didn't get something could be the most minuscule of things. It could have nothing to do with your talent. It could have nothing to do with your look. It could be something so small as you came in wearing a shirt in a color that I didn't like, or that the director didn't like, and he wrote you off. Turn his head off. Like it could be something so small. Like you can't stress about those kind of things. It's just like, okay, well, you gotta keep looking forward, because if you look for the reasons why things don't happen, like it's hard to make things happen at that point, because you're in your own head about shit that you don't control, that you'll never have the answers to. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I might know everything about you. Yeah. And still not know why somebody would hire you over me. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. It's people, it's like in your field specific, it's going to be like a specific connection to you is the reason why they chose you, for whatever reason it may be. And it's just like, it's just like, to me, it's like, it's frustrating to see people live in that space. You know what? I shouldn't say it's frustrating, because it's not. It's not frustrating, because like, I don't live like that. Yeah. But like, I pay attention to people a lot. Yeah. Like I'm very outgoing in like terms of like I talk a lot. Like I'm down to chat, but I take in information just as much as I do like output. So like just monitoring how people react to different scenarios or when you're in situations with people, seeing how they handle failure, seeing how they handle success, seeing how they, you know, they struggle or they just, you know, they just move on their day-to-day basis. How do they treat people? Like you just become aware of how things work. And then you identify, I'm pretty sure very early on, you made a choice like this is how I will kind of be in the world. Like this is how I define myself, and this is the version of me that the world is going to see, and I'm gonna continue to operate like this for as long as I am until something changes. Until I learn something that tells me that I need to do something else, this is who I am. Right. So in like watching people how they think, how they operate, how they handle people, how they handle their business. Yeah. It's like it's just a constant like learning of like, and it's learning in like, I look at it like this is gonna take me back to school. Like when people are like trying to define what Canadian is, there's no real definition of what Canadian is. When we first like made this country, it was like it's not America, it's not this, it's not that. Yeah. And then is it? By defining what it's not, you chip away as you try to build what it is. Yeah. And like that is the process that we're all on right now. But we have an idea, a much clearer idea of who we are. But that process never stops. Right. But so it's just interesting to see like how we navigate through these things and how the world gives us things or presents opportunities based on how we put ourselves out into the world, how the effort that we kind of put in, but also how we identify the things that we know we don't want. Yeah. Like sometimes the job that you might be defined in the job that you don't take, that might pay you a lot of money, but you're like, I don't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't shoot those kind of shoots. Yeah. Like that's equally as important as all the great things that you do are the things that you don't do because they're all reflective of it. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. I don't know where I was going with that, but we'll just... No, we'll rather with that. Great talk, guys. Great talk. Yeah, I think this was probably a very thorough conversation, if I could say the least. Hope you guys are still here. I honestly, I'm at a loss for words because there's a lot of reflecting that I'm even doing right now just from talking. A lot of things you learn from, you ever said things out loud and as you're saying them out loud it's becoming what you believe. Yes. Like while you're saying it and then like, oh, this is actually what I'm believing as I'm saying it out of my mouth currently. Like I'm 100% with you because I find that like so much information we read, you read a lot of tweets, you see a lot of things. And we're not in school anymore. So you are not required to articulate your thoughts very often. Unless that is your job. And by chance, okay, you have a podcast. But for most people, you don't really have to articulate what you think. Yeah. And sometimes like you're not fully sure because you've just consumed and you haven't actually had to talk about that topic to anyone. Yeah. You've just read about it and read about it. So you don't even really know what you think. You've just been reading other people's thoughts. So like I completely get like what you're saying.
That's such a real thing. Cause I don't think a lot of people even think about that. Yeah. The fact that we're constantly consuming, but we're not actually saying shit.
Or interpreting it. Yeah. Like so you're not even interpreting it. Just
like, what do you really think? Like, what do you really think?
It's in it. It's just in your head.
There's been a bunch of times doing this podcast where I said shit out loud, and I'm like...
It's the first time I've said it. It's the first time I've said it out loud. Yeah.
I guarantee you that's happened to me at least 6 times in this conversation. Where I'm like, I haven't said this to anyone else.
But you're saying it so fluently because these are your actual thoughts in your head. But as they're coming out your mouth, it's like, these are first words I'm saying for the first time. Yeah. But I know exactly where I stand on this. No one else knows. I know. And you guys are now getting it from me, thinking I've already said this before. Yeah. This is the first time I've ever talked about whatever we're talking about right now. Yeah. It's a crazy dynamic. But that's why I love this shit. That's exactly why I love this shit. Thank you guys again for stopping by another episode We Talk. Thank you for stopping by, Birch. It's always a pleasure to have you. Always get super deep.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming all the way here in this fucking... Snow,
all I'm
snow.
thinking about now is the 2 hours that we've been doing this is just 2 more hours of snow accumulation on my car and the road. So, yeah, that should be exciting. But again, guys, thank you guys for just dropping by as always and just kicking with us. And hope you guys still enjoy what we do. Hope you guys can take something from this conversation. For the entrepreneurs that are out there, don't quit tomorrow, please. Go to work.
Yeah, go to work.
Go to work. Do your job. But build something on the side. That is what we are all trying to basically say. Like, if there is something you want to do, or if there is something you are doing, continue to build it until you can truthfully say it's a sustainable point where you can cut and say fuck you to your boss.
Yeah.
But other than that, guys, thank you guys again for stopping by the episode We Talk. I'm Mr. KOA alongside
Top Boy.
And alongside
Jordan Birch.
Thank you guys for stopping by. Peace.
Peace.
Hello?
We need to talk.
We need to talk. We need to talk.
We need to talk. We need to talk.